This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now, Tony Bruschi.
So headlines are flying around right now saying an arrest is imminent in the David case, and that's technically true, but here's the part that's getting lost in translation. The arrest everyone's talking about, bum-ba-da-da, at least as far as we can tell, it's not David. It's a witness. A woman who's supposed to testify before the grand jury on Wednesday and didn't show up. And the prosecutor, Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, was apparently so frustrated that she walked out into the courthouse hallway, found the woman's attorney, and told her straight up, "I'm getting a body attachment." Which, for those who don't speak legalese, means she's asking the judge to issue what's essentially an arrest warrant to drag this witness into court and compel her testimony. That's where we're at right now. Your thoughts in the comments section. We're going to go through all of this. YouTube is where you can find us, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, that's where we're at there. And if you're on Apple Podcasts right now, I'd ask you a favor, a Christmas miracle maybe. If you don't mind, take 3 seconds, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, and leave it right there. We really, really do appreciate that very, very much. Or wherever you're listening to us, that's helpful. Helps other people know that we exist and what we're doing. Okay, so this is where we're at right now in the case. The first potential arrest in a case involving the dismembered remains of a 14-year-old girl. And it's not for the killing. It's to force someone to talk. Let's be clear about what this all means, because when prosecutors start throwing around body attachments and hauling witnesses into custody, they're not doing it because they're stuck. They're doing it because they're building something, and somebody in that inner circle is getting squeezed. So let's back up and let's talk about what's actually happening in that Los Angeles courthouse. A grand jury has reportedly been hearing evidence in the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez since mid-November. And this week, they got some very interesting testimony from a man named Robert Morgenroth. He's the general manager of Mogul Vision. That's DVD's, David's record label. And he's also the president of Zara Brothers Travel, which handles David's touring. So this guy isn't some peripheral figure. He's in the room. He's in the car. He's metaphorically speaking there. He knows things, okay? And here's what we know he said, or at least what people overheard him say, because he walked out of the grand jury room and started talking to his lawyer in the hallway, loudly. Loud enough that about a half dozen people nearby could hear the whole damn thing. According to TMZ, he told his attorney that the prosecutor, Silverman, was very pushy about why he didn't call the police. And his response reportedly was this: "I said I feel like I didn't have the responsibility to do that, and I just wanted to continue with the tour." All alleged. But if true, let that sit for a moment. We don't know the exact contents. We don't know what he knew or when he knew it or what would have prompted the question, but the question itself tells you something. Prosecutors don't ask, "Why didn't you call the police?" unless there was a moment when calling the police would have been the obvious thing to do. And his answer? That he didn't feel it was his responsibility, that he just wanted to keep the tour rolling. That's the kind of statement that tends to echo in a courtroom. He testified allegedly for 3 days, 3 full days, and then he came back Wednesday for more. There's also been talk of a separate contempt hearing in another courtroom involving someone connected to this testimony. So whatever's happening behind those closed doors, it's not going smoothly for everyone involved. Now, about that female witness who didn't show up, we don't know her name, but we do know she shares an attorney with Morgenroth. Same lawyer, which suggests she's connected to the same circle of people around David. And when she failed to appear, Silverman reportedly told the attorney she would have authorities take the woman into custody and bring her into the courtroom. This is what pressure looks like when it's being applied methodically. Meanwhile, David himself, David Anthony Burke, 20 years old, remains a suspect in the eyes of investigators. Not officially charged, not arrested, but according to multiple law enforcement sources, speaking to NBC, ABC, and TMZ, the LAPD's Robbery-Homicide Division is treating him as a suspect in what they're calling an apparent homicide. The LA County District Attorney's Office is reportedly presenting this to the grand jury as a murder case. And despite what his representative said early, that he was fully cooperating with investigators, sources now say that's not so accurate. Multiple outlets are reporting that David has not been cooperative from the beginning. Again, allegations from sources. He's also lawyered up in a serious way. Back in October, he retained Blair Burke, one of the most high-profile criminal defense attorneys in Los Angeles. His client list reads like a tabloid index of names that you can trust. Harvey Weinstein, Kanye West, Mel Gibson, Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears. Oh, those aren't names you can trust? Oh. She's the person you call when you need someone who knows how to navigate a media firestorm while building a legal defense. True. And the fact that David brought her on within weeks of the body being discovered tells you he understood immediately what kind of situation he was in. Because let's talk about what investigators have. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was 14 when she went missing from Lake Elsinore, California in April of 24. She was 15, barely, if she was alive, but it turns out she wasn't. She never actually saw that 15th birthday breathing. When her remains were found on September 8th, 2025. Her body was discovered in the front trunk of the Tesla Model Y registered to David. The car had been abandoned on a street in the Hollywood Hills near the house he was renting for over a month before it was towed. Workers at the impound lot noticed a smell, and when police opened the front trunk, they found what remained of Celeste inside a black garbage bag. You know, like you do with people you care about. Just ask Brian Walsh. It's what you do when you panic, right? Maybe they should, consult each other or something. I don't know. Her body was dismembered. According to sources, her limbs had been severed and cut into pieces. The torso was reportedly intact. There's conflicting information about whether the remains were partially frozen. And all of this is very much one source says this, one source says that, one kind of says this, one kind of says part of that. At the end of the day, it seems something's up with the body. Exactly what and how, we don't know. The LAPD issued a statement denying that, but a source within the medical examiner's office reportedly doubled down on the claim to TMZ. Either way, the decomposition was so severe that authorities initially couldn't determine if the remains were male or female. That's going to tell you a lot. The cause of death has still not been officially determined. The medical examiner deferred the ruling, meaning they're waiting for additional testing, likely toxicology results, before making a call. And here's the thing. Without a confirmed cause of death, prosecutors have a harder time filing charges. Was it murder? Was it an overdose followed by improper disposal of a body? That distinction matters legally. And so far, we don't have an answer. At least publicly, we don't. But investigators aren't waiting around. They've been piecing together a timeline. According to sources, Celeste was last seen alive in photos taken in January of 25. She reportedly died sometime in the spring, months before her body was found. And there's one detail that keeps coming up. A trip David allegedly took in the middle of the night to a remote area of Santa Barbara County during that same spring time frame. He reportedly stayed there for about 2 hours. TMZ's Harvey Levin has called that trip the key to this case. And if investigators have tracking data, cell phone pings, GPS, Tesla telemetry, placing David in an isolated location in the dead of night during the window when Celeste is believed to have died, that's not a coincidence anyone's going to ignore. There's also reportedly a second suspect, not someone believed to have killed Celeste, but someone investigators think may have helped with the dismemberment and disposal. Attorney Mark Garagos, who hosts a podcast with Levin, said on air that he knows the name of the second individual and that authorities have told him this person may have been involved before, during, and after Celeste's death. Multiple people dismembering a body. That tracks with what detectives have said. They've reportedly indicated that the manner in which Celeste's remains were cut up strongly suggests more than one person was involved. And there are connections between David and Celeste that have surfaced since September. Matching tattoos, both reportedly the shh inked on their right index finger. Her mother told TMZ that Celeste had a boyfriend named David. An unreleased song by David from 2023 titled Celeste, Demo Unfin, mentioned someone named Celeste multiple times. Friends of David believe she was 19 and a student at USC. She allegedly had multiple fake IDs. She was a kid passing as an adult, moving in circles she had no business being in, and the adults around her either didn't notice or didn't care. Which also, I think, is a fair question to ask. Did David know how old she actually was? Because if everybody believes she's something else, who's to say he wouldn't either if that's how she's presented herself the entire time? I'm just throwing it out there because I think we have this impulse or this urge or thought to assume that David knew everything. David knew how old she was exactly. Like, I don't know. We don't know. If from the moment they met, she's saying she's something she's not, and she's got fake IDs. I mean, if you're checking someone's ID, I mean, I don't know. I've never really, I don't think kids are like, let me see your ID. And if you can pass for it, you can pass for it. I mean, you see the pictures of her? Yeah, she could pass for 19. Yeah, I mean, if someone says, this is how old I am, here's where I go to school, most people are going to be like, let me see your ID. Give me proof of where you're going to school. The kids. Her brother, Matthew Rivas, told NBC that the family knew Celeste was involved with David. She was reportedly on her way to see a movie with him on the day she disappeared, allegedly. Since September, David has canceled his entire world tour. He moved out of his Hollywood Hills rental. He transferred the deeds to his 2 properties in the Houston area to his mother. His last public statement, his last social media post was on September 8th. Same day Celeste's body was found, promoting a deluxe edition of his album. He has been silent ever since. Police searched that rental home shortly after the body was found. They seized electronics. They checked drains for blood evidence. A private investigator who's been following the case described finding what he called sadistic items inside. Objects, he said, were things you could use to get rid of a person. Not illegal to own, but deeply unsettling given the circumstances. And the Tesla itself, Teslas are rolling surveillance systems, if you're unaware. Multiple cameras, data logs. Investigators reportedly have access to all of it. One source said footage from the vehicle makes it very clear who parked the car in its final location on that Hollywood Hills street. Whether that person is David or someone else, we don't know yet, but investigators apparently do. And in case you're wondering about the public's appetite for the story, Google just released its year in search data, and David was the most searched person of 2025. Not a politician, not an athlete, a 20-year-old, semi-famous R&B singer whose name is now synonymous with the worst kind of headline. His streaming numbers reportedly doubled in a 5-day span after the news broke. There's something deeply uncomfortable about that. A career built on songs about heartbreak and loss, now inextricably linked to the actual death of a child. His biggest hit, by the way, is called Romantic Homicide. The music video features violent imagery. He's explained in interviews that the song is metaphorical about killing feelings, not people. But the irony is not lost on anyone. So where does this go from here? The grand jury continues to hear evidence. Witnesses are being compelled. or about to be compelled to testify. Toxology results are expected eventually, though they could take weeks or months, as they have been. And once those results come in, once the medical examiner makes a ruling on how Celeste died, which they might have already done, it's just sealed. Investigators say things will start moving quickly. Right now, we're in the pressure phase. The phase where prosecutors squeeze the people around the suspect, looking for cracks, looking for someone who knows something and decides that their own future matters a little bit more than loyalty. What we know for certain is this: a 14-year-old girl went missing. Her dismembered body was found in a car registered to a man she was allegedly dating. That man has been named a suspect. His inner circle is being hauled before a grand jury and pressed on what they knew and when they knew it. And at least one witness is about to be arrested. Not for the crime, but for refusing to help solve it, unless, of course, they come in on their own. The story's not over, but it's moving, and the walls around David are getting smaller by the day. Someone in the inner circle is going to break. The only question is who and what they're going to say when they do. David, remember, has not been arrested or charged with any crime. All details are according to law enforcement sources speaking to media outlets. Celeste Rivas Hernandez's cause and manner of death have not been officially determined. David is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. Give me your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. Would love to hear it. We do read them. Try to reply back as much as we can. But please do leave your thoughts on YouTube and press subscribe while you're there. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know we're getting really close to the end of the year, but we might be able to do it. We're like 9,000 away. So we've done pretty good in this last month since we've really started pushing it. So thank you for that. So if you've not subscribed yet on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button there. We really, really appreciate that. And if you got a moment and you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, hey, a review on Apple Podcasts would be a lovely Christmas present if you got a few seconds to do that. Thank you. Takes 5 seconds. Good show. Just a couple words, just something nice. We do appreciate that. It helps us grow in the rankings and let folks know that we're doing this. And it allows us to keep doing this for you. So please, if you like what we're doing, if you could help us out in those ways, I personally greatly appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Until next time, I'm Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again.
Want more on this case and others? Then press subscribe now and don't miss a moment of true crime coverage from Tony Bruschi and the Hidden Killers podcast.